So welcome Dr. V to the EBM Scholars Show.
Thank you.
And today will be my first time to interview in English. We have done a couple of videos in Swahili. So for those people, it will be their first time to come across you. Why do we start with Dr. V? What's your name and what is that professional title comes from?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ernest, for having me on your show. And this is my first time also, interviewing with EBM scholars. But yeah, so a little bit about myself. My name is Veronica, Dr. Veronica. I am a wealth strategist, here in financial services, here in the US, and also we have partners in Canada. But my title is actually coming from a background in nursing practice. I used to be a doctor in nursing, or rather I do have a doctorate in nursing practice, but I am also a board certified nurse practitioner. And that's where I did start before I got into financial services. So that's why the doctor title is still there.
Yes. I usually wonder why you move from being a nurse professional and just go to become financial person, expert in the finance part, because we know many immigrants when we come here, just you study nursing and you went to the level of doctorate. So why did you make that shift? We know that being a nurse, being in a medical field, you get a lot of money. So why did you decide to put a pause on that particular field to go to the finance or financial aspect?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ernest, for that wonderful question. So for me, my experience was a little bit different because when I initially went to nursing, it was not because of money, but rather it's because I did honestly enjoy healthcare. And I thought I was going to be a doctor, like a medical doctor. But then when I came to the US from Tanzania, what I learned was medical school is a second degree. So I just was like, so what should I do? Should I do like what? Business first and then what should I do? So my mother said, hey, just pick something that's going to give you a job, because that's the only guarantee I have is to help with your first degree. So that is when some friends at that time in Texas advised them to say, you know what, how about you do nursing? Because when you do nursing here in America, you have so many privileges, not that far from being a doctor. Of course, depending on what kind of nurse you are. So that's what I did. And then I definitely enjoyed nursing, I enjoyed healthcare, enjoyed the career. But one thing I also noticed was that, yes, we're making a lot of money. As a matter of fact, I did make a lot of money even when I was a travel nurse, but I didn't see the money. I remember a lot of people would say, hey, COVID pay. If you ask all those nurses that went and got COVID pay, where is the money? Now it's 4 years later. It's not there. So later I got to understand that no matter what degrees you have, how much education you have, if you don't understand money or how it works, or rather how the system or the financial system works, then guess what? Everything's still going to be in vain. So that's when I decided, when I got into financial services, that it was rather to learn about money and how I could manage my own money. And then one thing led to the other, and I'm here today.
How many years have you been in the U.S.?
Oh, I'm in the U.S. 15 going on 16 years now.
And when you came to the United States for the first time, what was your main priority? Because usually I tell people the priority, no matter what you have, obviously most of the time we are looking about immigration status, but for me usually is to make the decision, where are you going to retire? Whether you are going to retire in Africa or you are going to retire in America, if you come to America, or whether you're in Canada or Europe. That decision, if you say I want to retire in America, it means your responsibility is to learn more about the financial system, about the retirement system, about everything about your children or grandchildren, and the money making, and just overall how retirement system works here. So when you came here for the first time, what were your priority in terms of, are you coming to stay here for good, or you are planning to come here and then you go back to Tanzania?
Yes. Well, that's a very good question. Ernest, I came here very young. My priority was just to go to school and go back home. I was literally thinking, when I'm done, I'm going back home. Even when I was done with my first degree, I was telling my mother, hey, I'm going back. She was like, going back to do what? You graduated with nursing? In Tanzania, nursing is not like, it's a little bit different from here. So long story short, she was like, no, how about you work here for a little bit, gain some experience, decide if you want to go back to school or not, and then you make a decision if you want to go to Tanzania. I was like, sure. So I stayed, and then one thing led to another, and of course I didn't go. But one thing that I'm definitely going to tell everybody, when you come to foreign land, like here, it's definitely very good to understand how the system works. And also the key thing is you need to understand what you want. You have to know what you want. Ernest, I feel like most of us do not know what we want. Because you'd say yes, you come here, maybe a little older, you'd stay maybe the first few years trying to like make sure your paperwork is okay and stuff like that to guarantee you a job and stuff like that. But even with people that come here with, let's say, green card already, how many of those people would say that they're living the lifestyle they want? You see? So it narrows down to being very solid and asking yourself deep, being very honest as well. What do you want? What I've learned is most of us don't know what we want. So that's the first step, Ernest.
For you, if you look back, the new person arrives today. Maybe he's a green card lottery winner. Maybe someone comes to do doctorate or master's or bachelor degree, community college, or someone gets work visa. But no matter what, you just arrive here in America. What will be the first thing to tell someone to think about in the first month? What to start thinking about as far as the life in America is concerned?
Oh wow, that's actually a very broad question. So one thing I would definitely say is learn the system. Don't just come here and do things because other people are telling you to do it, but rather understand the system for yourself. Because I will tell you, Ernest, the first 2 years you're here in America, you can blame the person that accepted you into the US. You can say, hey, they told me I need to do nursing. They told me I need to be an engineer. They told me I just need to work at Walmart. They told me I need to do XYZ. But after 2 years, oh, it's your responsibility. You cannot blame your failures or, if your success is not where you want it to be on the person that gave you an opportunity to come here, or on a person who, let's say, was your host, when you initially come here. So the biggest advice I would really give anybody who comes into the US, you have to learn the system, understand the system for yourself, and then make sure you're taking advantage of the system.
At what time after being in the US you came to know, like, man, I've wasted my time, I wish I could know about the money system, about this financial situation? Like, what happened to you until you came to realize? Because I believe it's not the first day you arrived here and you know about, okay, this type of plan, I can use this one for my retirement. At what time, or what happened to you to think about, okay, this is not right, I have to find a way to beat the system in a good way?
Right. So for me, I always knew there was an issue. I just did not have a solution when I came. Because my first problem was, I remember that night, I needed a toothpaste and toothbrush. I was in college. Somebody gave me a ride from college to Walmart. I went, and when I bought that toothpaste, and I think it was supposed to be $3. When I went to the cashier, they say it's not $3, like almost $4. I was like, what?
The price is this one.
I'm like, hold on. But the shelf, so I was, they said, no, but the tax. I'm like, but why would you mean taxes? So they were like, Veronica, that's how it is here. So to me, that was a flag. Number one, I was like, okay, I got to understand something here. And then as we were shopping, I would always have my budget. I used to say, each time I go to shopping, like for the month, it cannot be more than $100. 3 years later, I'm like, how come I spend the same $100 but I get less things? Like, I don't finish my shopping, like groceries. So I also knew there was an issue there. I was like, why do they keep increasing prices? I'm like, I don't like America. They keep increasing. So because I was so ignorant and I didn't understand there was something called inflation, I was just getting upset, and I was so quick to argue. Like, I was so defensive. Like, I was always that person who was defensive because I felt like it's not fair. Okay, I always felt like somebody's there to get me or something like that. I used to have that kind of mindset. So fast forward, when I think at that time I was just like 29 or 30, like about few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. Somebody, actually 4 years ago to be more, almost 4 years. So at that time, like, somehow I had this mindset switch of where I felt like, if I don't understand something about this system here, it's either I go back home or I need to figure out something. So I was very committed into understanding more on how investments work, and how taxes work and how real estate work. And then it was just by fate, you know, I met a lady who educated me a little bit on the financial piece, even though I did not understand. So I was more curious to know how she learned. And then that's when she told me she was licensed. So I decided to get my own license. And that's how I started learning one thing after the other. So it was like around when I would say when I was 29, 30. That's when I was like, you know what? If I've been in America for the last 10 years and I don't quite get things, what would the next 10 years do for me? So I was like, I have to know. And mind you, I had a PhD already, right? I had a doctoral degree. And I still felt like I don't understand money. So I had to really have a tough conversation with myself and decide, you know what? I have to learn about the system. So that's what happened.
Majority of people, it can take even 50 years there in America and they do not have no clue. The time to retire, when they go to see how much money they have, that's when they come to realize that they made a big mistake. And at that time, you have not, I mean, nothing can do because you already retired. So I'm glad you were able, after 10 years, to know, and now you are helping other people not to do the mistake to wait for 10 years. That means you are arriving here. The first, second year, you have to take the action on these kind of things.
Right.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do, I know you are doing some consultation, which the first consultation is free, right? Mm-hmm. But it will be for only people who are in the United States and the people who are in Canada, because that's where you are licensed. Because you cannot give advising for someone who is in Cameroon or in Ghana. You are not licensed in Ghana. Using CDs and the other whatever they are currency they are using. So I'm going to put the link on the description where someone who is in the US can be able to give the initial consultation details, and once you do that one, they'll be able to get the call and the email from you. And that one, it is through my website, but it will be linked to Dr. Veronica, where she'll be able to get those kind of aspect to your basic information and for you to be able to do that. Just remember that it doesn't matter whether you are first day in America, whether you are been here for 50 years. It's not too late. Just start as soon as possible.
True.